Hello, welcome back to another episode of Gear Toward Gear. I'm so glad you're here, and today we're talking all about EDC pens. So while I get tripoded up here, I'll give you a little bit of background, and then we'll get right into the actual pens that you see before you. I guess I should start, because I know people are always curious. I know I am when I watch videos like this. This is what the EDC knife is for the day. If I can get it out of my pocket. It's nothing too exciting, but it is a Gerber LST Ultralight. It's a tiny little knife. Costs about 15 bucks. It's made in the US. 420 high carbon steel, weighs just over a half an ounce, and has a 1.9 inch blade. So just a little bitty guy. But as I've mentioned in the past, I work from home. It's been cold here lately, so I'm wearing sweatpants today. So I just dropped this in my pocket when I woke up. If I go out later on in the day, I'll probably switch it out for a more substantial EDC knife, but that's the knife for today. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about pens, EDC pens specifically. So a few things before we get into it. First and foremost, I'm not a pen expert. I'm not a pen nerd. I do like to carry pens as an EDC item occasionally, probably about half the time, depending on where I'm going, what I'm wearing, what other gear that I'm carrying on my person. So on average, I'd say about half the time I carry a pen on me. The other half the time I just don't. It just depends, and that's kind of where I land on carrying them. I do have one in my EDC bag. Of course, I have them all over the house if I need one. But when it comes to EDC, I don't carry one every day, but I do carry one fairly often. Having been a paramedic and in my current job as an environmental health and safety professional, pens have always been something that I always carried professionally, similarly to wearing a watch. Those were things that I associated with my job. And so for the longest time, I carried a pen every day at work. And so that's why I started buying some pens that I enjoyed, that wrote well, and that were durable. I've had some bad experiences with really cheap plastic pens that have broken in my shirt pocket as a paramedic and left an ink stain. And so all of the pens you see here, with the exception of one, are going to be made of some type of metal. That's my preference, just for durability's sake. In addition, they're all ballpoint pens, so none of these are gel pens or fountain pens. They all can be refilled with additional cartridges, and we're going to talk about them in order from largest to smallest. So let's get into it. The first pen is the Zebra Stylus Twist. And this is a simple ballpoint pen with a stylus tip on the end. So if you work with iPads or any touchscreen devices frequently, this might be a good option for you. The way it operates is you simply twist it, as the name implies, the stylus twist, to get to your ballpoint there. And it's about 5 inches long, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5.5 inches long. So it's relatively pocket friendly, but that stylus tip on the end is, I think, a bonus for a lot of people. So that is the Zebra Stylus Twist. It's a 0.7 millimeter ballpoint. It's made of plastic, and it costs $7 US. Next up is one that I carry frequently, and this is also by Zebra. And this is the Zebra model F-701. And this is a standard clicky ballpoint pen with a pocket clip, all stainless steel construction with that knurling. I think I showed this on an EDC pocket dump recently. And this is one of my favorites just because it's got a little heft to it, very durable. I've had this one for probably 5 or 6 years, and it's served me very well. And that's gonna also have a 0.7 millimeter ballpoint, stainless construction, and cost about $7.50, so very comparable in price to the Stylus Twist. And I will say about this one, and I think I've mentioned this before in another video, that I personally don't look at pens as defensive tools. I'm not a huge fan of tactical pens personally. I have nothing against them, I just don't own any or carry one. But of all the pens on the table, that's probably the one that could, in theory, be used defensively because it is pretty robust, got some weight to it, and it's all stainless steel. So that is the Zebra F701. Next up is the Zebra F301. As you can see from the markings there, and the BP just stands for ballpoint. This is a kind of no frills, again, clicky tail cap ballpoint pen with a pocket clip. I like these, again, because it's got a stainless construction. It does have plastic where you actually grip the pen, but it's mostly stainless, and I carried this exact pen as a paramedic for several years, and I went through many of them because I lose them or give them away, but this was my go-to pen at work for a long time because they're quite inexpensive. As I mentioned, the Stylus and the 701 go for about $7 each, whereas the F301, you can get a pack of, I think, 9 or 10 of these for like 14, 15 bucks. So they're less than $2 or around $2 per pen. So pretty friendly on the budget there. Next up, we have kind of the little brother to the 301, and that is the Zebra F-301 Compact. And so this is simply a compact version of the one that we just looked at. It does, again, have a pocket clip, and this one's kind of a deep ride clip, as you can see. And you simply pull it apart. It comes into two pieces. You've got the cap and the pen. Flip it around, put them back together, and what you're left with is a essentially full-size pen. If we compare that to the F301 that we just looked at, you can see that they're almost identical in overall length. So if we line them up here on the old measuring device, you can see the overall length is pretty darn close between the two. But the footprint of the compact version is obviously much, much smaller. When it's in its closed position, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, less than 4 inches, about 3 3/4 of an inch. So if you're looking for something to put into a kit or a bag, or just something that doesn't take up a lot of real estate in the pocket, the F301 Compact could be a great option for you. And again, this is a ballpoint 0.7 millimeter stainless steel and plastic, and these go for about $4.50. So they're a little more expensive than the standard 301. And you can get them in 2 packs and 4 packs to save a little money, but they write great. So that's the F301 Compact. Next, we have a Fisher Space Pen, and this particular one is called the Space Pen X Mark Bullet. And we've probably all seen the standard bullet space pen, and the main difference with the X Mark version compared to the standard bullet is 2 things. One, the top of the pen is kind of squared off, so it's not rounded like it is on the back end, like most bullet pens are, and it has a pocket clip. So that's the main difference between the X Mark from Fisher Space Pens and just the standard bullet. This operates similar to the one we just looked at. Pull it apart, flip it over, insert the pen into the cap, and you're left with essentially a full-size pen. Now I've got super large hands, and so as you can see, there's plenty of room for it to rest in my palm and do whatever writing tasks I need to do. Again, very pocket friendly, doesn't take up much real estate. And they've got the pressurized cartridges, which they're known for, originally designed for astronauts to write in 0 gravity. I don't know that there's a ton of applications for that for the average person, but it's neat that the cartridges are pressurized because you're gonna always have ink at the ballpoint. You're never gonna have to do the shake, you know. Sometimes if you don't use a pen for a while, you have to shake it, you know, to get the ink down to the ballpoint. That's never an issue with the Fisher Space Pens. So that's the Fisher Space Pen X Mark Bullet. It's made of steel, it's made in the USA, and it costs about $18. And last but not least is another Zebra, and this is called the Zebra SL-F1, and it's an extendable pen. So these come in 8 different colors. This one is in the gray color, if I can give you a better view of the color there. And again, it's got a pocket clip, so it's nice for EDC. And the way this works is you simply pull on the pen, it extends, and at the same time, the ballpoint comes out for you to write with. So again, push it closed, the ballpoint retracts, pull it open, the ballpoint exposes itself. And even in the open position, it's quite small. We're looking at 1, 2, 3, just over 4 inches in its open position. When it's closed, it is just over 3 inches. So you get about an inch when you open it. But again, I have super large hands, and it's just long enough to still rest kind of in the meat of my palm there to allow me to write as if it's a full-size pen. So it is user-friendly, even for someone with big hands, and it takes up no space at all. You know, if you're looking for something to put in like an Altoids tin type kit, or just in a bag or somewhere where you don't want to take up a ton of space, the Zebra SL-F1 might be a good option for you. And again, it's made of aluminum, comes in 8 colors, and has a 0.7 millimeter ballpoint. So we'll remove the Space Pen for just a second. Every other pen you're looking at right now has a 0.7 millimeter ballpoint, and that's a fine point. That's my personal preference. I don't like a really thick line. I don't like a really inky line, which is why I don't use gel pens and things like that. So these are all ballpoints with fine tips. The Space Pen is going to have a bit thicker of a tip, and I couldn't find the exact size, but it's probably closer to like 1 millimeter. So it'll be noticeably thicker than the others. And I'll do a very quick kind of writing demonstration with each of these, just so you can see the type of line that they produce. So starting with the Zebra Stylus Twist, you can see it's a pretty fine line. The Zebra F-701, again, a pretty fine line. The F301, the F301 Compact, we'll skip to the Zebra SL-F1, the extendable pen. And as you can see from those 5 examples, the lines that are produced are almost identical in terms of their size. And again, it's a fine point, which is my preference. The Space Pen, however, is going to have a bit thicker of a line. And I think you can probably see that from that example there. So still certainly usable. And I do carry the Space Pen from time to time, but they are all going to be relatively identical in terms of the fineness of the point and the type of line that they produce. So with that said, those are my everyday carry pens. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw here today, if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. You know, leave me a comment. If there's a pen that you really love to carry, let me know. And again, none of these, with the exception of the Space Pen, are expensive. They're all quite budget friendly, which is my preference, because I'll occasionally lose a pen or misplace it or give it to somebody and they won't give it back. So I don't like to spend too much money on pens. But if there's something you think I've missed or I should check out, please let me know. And I will leave a link for each individual pen in the comments below. And I'll also leave a link, just if you're curious, to the Gerber LST Ultralight that I'm carrying today as well. With that said, we'll wrap things up. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video.